If I had to cook one meal to impress my next guest, let's call them the skeptic, this is what I would cook. We're talking golden caramelized cauliflower, blistered cherry tomatoes, and a creamy coconut tomato sauce that is so rich and layered. It's easy to prep, quick to come together, and has deep flavors that make every bite as enjoyable as the last. The technique is what does it all. It's what's most impressive, but let's talk about the ingredients we're gonna need. A head of cauliflower, cherry tomatoes, an onion, garlic, fresh ginger, lemon, fresh parsley, tomato paste, coconut cream, vegetable stock, soy sauce, lentils, and finally, some spices. I really just want to jump into this one, but let's start with the prep. We got an onion, we're gonna dice it up. And then let's push it off to the side. Then here comes our garlic. And I say nothing less than 6 cloves. Give it a nice mince and move on to the star of the show, our cauliflower. I'm saying it like the cauliflower is actually the star and it might be the sauce, but then again, let's just keep going and we'll get back. We're cutting this into florets, and here's a trick. Instead of sawing all the way through the stem and ending up with your cutting board full of riced cauliflower, I learned that you could actually cut halfway through the stem, then simply use your hands to peel it apart the rest of the way. You get clean, intact florets every time. Oh, and let's try to keep these roughly the same size. With everything uniform, everything cooks at the same time. Nothing comes out mushy. All right, our cauliflower is in a bowl and prepped. Let's finish up with grabbing our lemon, chopping that in half, giving a rough chop to our parsley, which will be a garnish that we use at the end. Lastly, bring in our ginger, set it aside, and our cherry tomatoes as well. From here, we're moving on to our spice blend, or spice blends. One is gonna be for our cauliflower, the other is gonna be for our sauce. For the first one, we're doing cumin, coriander, smoked paprika, turmeric, and black pepper. For our second one, we're gonna be adding smoked paprika, cumin, turmeric, salt, black pepper, and garlic powder. From here, we simply wanna mix these up good, but not in a way where you can't find which one you need when it comes time to season, just so they're blended basically. Set those aside and let's move on. Okay, so here's something I love doing that makes a real difference. Instead of simply, just dumping all our spices in at once, we're gonna build 2 different spice blends, one for the cauliflower, one for the sauce. And when you do this, each component of the recipe has its own personality. That way, when they come together, it's just, that's just where the magic lives. Let's bring our cauliflower back into the center. And I'll be real with you. I knew from the start, the bowl that I grabbed was probably too small for the amount of cauliflower that I had, but went with it anyway. So I had to switch up. It's one of those times I kind of wish I went with my instincts. Anyway, let's drizzle some olive oil over the cauliflower, and we're gonna toss to coat everything really even before adding in our spices. Now, I like to start with adding in about half of my spice mixture, then give it the whirlwind treatment again, tossing it left to right until everything looks really coated. From there, I follow up with the second half, giving it round 2 of the tornado. This way, every single floret is getting seasoned, not just the ones on the top. I also do this in a bowl instead of a tray because I want the cauliflower seasoned, not the baking tray. With our cauliflower coated and our baking tray in the frame, we're gonna dump our cauliflower right onto the tray and take the time to flip the cauliflower cut side down, each and every one of them. This is super important. Having the flat side make contact with the pan is what gives you that beautiful caramelization, and we don't want to miss any possible flavor. As I said, it's all in the technique. Pop these into the oven at 425 for about 25 to 30 minutes. All right, With our cauliflower in the oven, we're moving on to blistering our tomatoes. Grab a skillet, lightly add some oil, and fortunately for you, I get to tell you, make sure those tomatoes are completely dry before popping them into the oil. Wet tomatoes and hot oil are not a great combination. Also, when I started this, I was thinking, I could have just used the same pan that I'm going to use for the sauce to get these tomatoes cooked in, helping me dodge a second dish that would need to be washed. But I didn't. We're going to cook them somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes, letting them sit for roughly about a minute or so. So this way we can get some good charring on the tomatoes prior to stirring and allowing them to char on the other sides. When done, we're gonna remove this, transfer it to a bowl, set it aside, and keep on rolling. And now we're in the home stretch. We're going to build the sauce in a large pot with high walls. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil, and when it's ready, toss in our diced onions. Let that cook for another 5 to 7 minutes until translucent. Next, add in your garlic and grate in your fresh ginger. Let that go until aromatic. From here, we're going to caramelize our tomato paste. This isn't complicated. We're simply just gonna add our tomato paste right on top of those onions and stir them around so this way they start to get some color. And this here is going to deepen the flavor while also playing the dual role of helping thicken our sauce. All right. Before moving on, let's do a bit of a knowledge dump here. Raw tomato paste is a bit sharp. It almost has like a acidic edge to it. When you cook it down with a little fat and heat, the sugars develop and the bitterness, you could say, rounds out. From there, you get this rich, savory depth in your final dish compared to the next. With our tomato paste caramelized, let's add our spice blend so this way we don't forget to let those spices bloom, taking all of just about 30 seconds to a minute. From here, we're gonna add a splash of vegetable stock. We're doing this first to deglaze and scrape everything up from the bottom. I added a splash of stock here first because I personally find it's much easier to see the bottom of the pot so that I don't miss any of those good flavor bits of seasoning hanging anywhere around the edges. Once that's clear, we're adding the rest of our stock, following it up with coconut milk and our soy sauce. Let's stir this until it's fully combined. And once we're there, we're gonna add in our lentils and stir it again. From here, lower the heat and bring it to a gentle simmer. We're gonna let this go for probably about 10 to 15 minutes, allowing everything to thicken up and those flavors to meld. From here, we're done. We just gotta put it all together. Our cauliflower, our tomatoes, that sauce, and boom, drop that tender, golden caramelized cauliflower into the sauce, followed by those charred, blistered cherry tomatoes, or maybe that's a grape tomato. Either way, both of them work. Sprinkle on a bit of that parsley, and there it is. Serve it as is, serve it over rice, serve it to family, serve it with love. Let's pause for a second and slow down. I was having such a day that day. So let me catch you up. I started this thing with almost chopping my thumb off. If you missed it, you could tell a little bit here, where now you see a Band-Aid on my finger. Next, I started doubting myself, on everything. And one on-camera version of that is with the bowl, where you saw me trade one bowl for another. And then from my mind operating at 100, but not in the right capacity, I lose sight of the fact that my tomatoes are still wet from the process of being washed, and dump them into some hot oil. All that to say, the lesson that I want you to take away from this is that it's 100% okay to just slow down and believe in good. Because when things are rough, and sometimes when they're not even rough, it's hard to do so. So that's the motto, and it's always going to be. Full recipes in the description. Till next time. Peace.